Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th, The Sky in Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Hello once again, everyone. Thank you, everyone, listening to more Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversations. Thank you 10,000 times over, plus a few more since then. Last Thursday, when I looked before opening up that day's show, 10,001 downloads. Thank you all so very much. Tell you what, we have a couple of great chats this week. Later in the show, actor-director Casey Ring, he's headed to Mankato to get his Masters of Fine Art with an emphasis on directing. Coming up in a few minutes, she started off just singing karaoke, and now after some encouragement, she's a lead singer for the Rewinder Band. We talk with Valerie Arens. Before that, we'll give away the coveted weekly honorable mention as well as draw for the winner of Pizza with a Podcaster. But let's start the show properly. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. All right, lift them high, whatever's appropriate for the time of day, or where you're listening. You know, you probably don't want to lift up a Jasper Newton like I do, Jack Daniels, Diet Coke with a lime, while you're actually working for the man. You know, I don't mean that as a sexual tone about men being in charge, but, you know, the old phrase about tired of giving it to the man. Okay, you've got my drift? Good. Here's what we're toasting this week. It's the sparkling eyes. You see, one of my other side gigs is as a wedding officiant. This past Sunday, I had the honor of performing the ceremony for Lisa and Josh Mayfield. As the officiant, you get a great perspective on the bride and groom as they exchange vows and rings. Let's just say, beaming. And then it made me think of everybody that has sparkling eyes. You see some sparkling eyes? Tell them, those are great. Your eyes really sparkle. You know, people need compliments, so make sure that you do that. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. Let Jason get you there so you can indulge without the responsibility. That's something that was said on Facebook by James. He went on to compliment Jason on his knowledge of the local craft beer scene. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, or you want to add on a distillery, Ale Hop Brewery Tours gets you and your friends there in a really cool van. All you have to do is enjoy the beer or the spirits. Book your private tours at alehopbrewerytours.com. If you're already out and about on the weekend, hop on a public tour. For more info, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. You know what goes well with beer? Pizza. It's time to pick a lucky winner of Pizza with a Podcaster. Everyone that follows the Dave Holly Hour on Facebook or Instagram is automatically entered. We draw one name each week, and this week, congratulations to Kent Metzger. He wins a pizza from Sonny's Pizzeria. Congratulations. And Kent will be in touch to get you all set up for some jowl-dropping, show-stopping thin crust pizza. Pizza with a Podcaster brought to you by Sonny's Pizzeria right across from USF at 26th and Waltz and Sonny's at 81 on South Phillips. Check out the very fun and incredibly flavorful menu online, sonnyspizzeria.com. DaveHollyHour.com. Honorable mention. What has made Dave smile, laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, laugh, and maybe slap his knee at the same time? Or perhaps it was a moment of silence that made me contemplate something. Hell no, not this week. It was raucous. It's a 2-for-1 deal. Last Friday, Lyra Dance held their 7th season show. It was amazing from start to end. The last routine they performed prior to taking their bows was "And All That Jazz" from the musical Chicago. 3 incredible singers from Goodnight Theater sang it. No. They belted it out. Great job by Lyra, with extra mention to Jess Johansson, Martha Stye, Winkleblick, and Brittany Henson. Could not have had a more powerful, electric, and fitting finale. Great job to everyone involved in that production. Okay, coming up later in the show, he'd like to be introduced in another 4 years as, well, maybe only 3, as Professor Ring. We talked to actor, director, former Old Town executive director, Casey Ring. Coming up next, from karaoke to lead singer, and wait until you hear what else she wants to do, Valerie Arens. On the Dave Holly Hour. Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
The Dave Holly Hour, like eavesdropping on a great conversation between 2 very interesting people.
Welcome back, everyone. You know what I like to say. It's always a pleasure, especially when I get to interview new people and find out a little bit more about them and what entertains them, as well as being an entertainer or performer or artist in their own rights. And this time we get to say hello to Valerie Arens from the band Rewinder. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Doing fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so let's talk a little bit about, what got you involved and so forth in being a musician and a singer.
Luck. Pure luck. I didn't sing up until about 10 years ago.
Really?
Not really a thing for me.
Uh-huh.
And I had sang a lot by myself. Well, then about 10 years into mine and my husband's relationship, we went on a date and I said, let's go do some karaoke. And he thought that was weird because I'd never asked to do karaoke before.
Seriously?
Yeah. So, and the kids were little and he had never seen that side of me before. So we went out for karaoke and I sang my first song and I sat down at the table next to him and he's staring at me. I can see his eyes staring at me. And I look at him and I said, "What?" And he goes, what was that? Where did that come from? He's like, "I've never heard you do that before." And that was, the rest is history. We sang karaoke every weekend after that.
Okay.
And then...
which is probably where I've actually seen you before.
Probably.
Yeah.
Chasers is our,
okay.
our home spot.
Well, see, I'm now starting back again on the 16th of August. We'll be at Chasers every Tuesday hosting trivia.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so that'll
trivia.
be good to get. But I've sang there a few times at karaoke. We end up at Red Rock quite often with Crazy Frank over there on the second Saturday of the month. Yep. So that's probably how come he looked so familiar. And it's like, boy, I got to become this gal's friend. She's in a band and so forth. And I like to have musicians on and different artists and want to chit-chat about everything in entertainment. So
Had you taken any formal classes?
No, I figured out pretty quickly that singing is a 100% teachable skill. Mm-hmm. It's not something you have to be born with.
Right.
I mean, some people are born talented, but it's something you can literally teach yourself. And so, I would hear songs and I'd say, I want to do that. And so I'd sing it over and over and over in my car until I had it like nailed. And yeah, so we went to karaoke for years and years and years. And then it was my husband's birthday. I think it was his 38th birthday. I don't even remember. But I sang a Whitney Houston song. And somebody posted the video, or I posted the video of it for my mom to watch. Mm-hmm. She wanted to see it. And I was at a Roller Dolls potluck. I was their medic for years. And I got this message from a girlfriend of mine, Angie Kepford. And she said, so there's a band whose lead singer is moving to Germany. Would you want to audition? And I'm like, yes. It was on my bucket list. Just
really?
Once in my life, I want to sing with a live band. That was on my bucket list. Just once.
Despite the fact that just a few years prior, you had begun karaokeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I still love karaoke.
Yeah.
Like, I still will make the rounds.
Okay, so what was the first karaoke song?
My first karaoke song was actually a Grease song, which is weird because I don't particularly like the movie Grease, but yeah, it was a Grease song because I knew it very well. But I do have a rule that every time I go sing karaoke, I have to sing at least one song I've never sang karaoke before. So that's a fun challenge.
Yeah, it is too. For those who don't do it often, it is nice to at some point then go, I better add to the repertoire. Mm-hmm. And so you start to think of songs, or you hear songs, and go, that's maybe one I could do. And then other people kind of chime in and say, you'd be great if you did this one and so forth.
Try that one,
yeah. And so then you kind of get that. So then what was the first song with a band?
So I ended up getting a message from Eldon, and we friended each other, and I went and auditioned for them. I was sick as a dog. I had actually left a family reunion early to go home and sleep on the couch. And Eldon convinced me to come to the audition, and I did. My daughter came with me with like a bag of like tissues and cough drops and nasal spray, and auditioned, and then they offered me the role. Of course, Eldon had to make sure that I was somebody who, I wasn't a flake, of course, mm-hmm. which is fine. I don't mind that. I'm a farmer's daughter. It's what it is. And so then what they did was they had me come and sing a couple songs before Mel's actual departure. And I believe it was Paris by, oh gosh, what's her name? Is that Grace Potter? She sings Paris. Ooh La La.
Well, that could be.
Yeah.
When it comes to, contemporary music, I'm not the greatest.
Yeah.
Give me Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Tony Bennett. I'm there.
And Eldon's kind of the same way about Kiss and,
well, yeah.
Your older rock bands.
Classic rock, and I especially love Southern rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a little bit of everything. But that was the first song I believe I sang. And then I sang a Carrie Underwood song, I believe. But yeah, I was nervous. I actually had come from a roller derby bout where I was medic, and like raced over to the Alpine because they were still doing bands at the time, and got up there and sang a couple songs. And Melanie Colmoose, I believe was her last name. She was actually there, and I said, well, how did that feel for you? And she's like, oh, it kind of makes me a little sad, but she was really supportive, and it went really well. Like, my parents came and stuff. It was no big deal, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What was the challenge of that to yourself? You said it was on the bucket list, but still, to go from, singing a bunch of bar stuff you get to read the lyrics in front of, to going in and auditioning for a band, that's a jump.
I'm not shy, so that helps a
right.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
being an extrovert, I understand.
I'm quite extroverted, yeah. But I think for me it was, there were songs that were introduced to the set list as we started kind of reframing what the band looked like. And I would hear the song, or I would look at the song that I was going to be singing and think, oh, I don't really get this song. Like, I don't get the appeal of the song or why anybody thinks this is a good song. And then I would start singing it, and I'm like, oh, that's fun. That is a fun song to sing. I take back what I said. I'm sorry I yelled. But I think one of the bigger challenges was kind of understanding that it is actual work. You know, there is actual work involved in it. Yeah. And dedication. So how often do you rehearse then? Not very often. Our current drummer, actually lives quite a bit up north, Britain, South Dakota. And so we don't, and he, our drummer, and our bass player are also in ZZ3. So they have a lot of shows that they travel for. Got a lot of their gigs to start with. Right. So a lot of times our rehearsals will be snuck in when we go to a gig, like it's a Friday, Saturday, and we're staying at the casino or whatever, and we'll warm up and do sound check and in the afternoon before a show. And sometimes we'll just jump and just do it. You know, did you practice your part? Yep. Did you practice your part? Yep. Whatever. Let's do this. All right. So you mentioned the fact that, there is work to it, but what was the thing that surprised you most? What have you learned most about getting into a band and being involved in one? I think how you're being crazy over there. That coaster didn't stick well. I know, and I'm about to get moisture on your desktop, and I need a coaster too. I'll toss you this one. Okay, I'm kind of a coaster freak. You're now an official Chicago Cubs fan. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to Wrigley Field next week. God bless you. Not for a baseball game, though. Who's playing? Lady Gaga. Oh, wow. Excellent. At Wrigley Field. So, that's another bucket list item. I'm really excited. Yeah, no doubt. I think the thing that surprised me the most is how tight the community is. Joining a band 110% changed my life. I was working in a psychiatric nursing home at the time. A lot of weekends, a lot of nights, a lot of overtime. And I had to kind of find a job that would allow you time for the gigs. I wanted to work at a place that closed. Nursing homes don't close. And the people are very tight and know each other very well. And I've made a significant number of friends just from joining the band. And I was very blessed to join a band that was actually quite established at the time. So, Al Bourbon was a drummer when I joined, and then Scott Walters played bass. Yeah. And he's playing with Matt D now. And Eldon is probably one of the best guitarists in the area, hands down. And so I was very blessed to join a band that was already kind of established and just make some amazing friends. That's one of the things that comes up so practically weekly on this show is the fact that the arts and entertainment community here in the Sioux Empire, while everybody wants their piece of the pie, it's not this competitive boom, 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 hit each other in the head. It's very collaborative. Very much so. And you find somebody, that you just mentioned Al Bourbon, who's also played with Corey and the Fireflies, and, he fills in for anybody that needs him in jazz and so forth. And then you talk about somebody going over and playing with Matt D, who just finally decided, I guess I want to do a band again. Yeah. And so forth. And it's just so great to see how everybody comes together. And, so you've gotten yourself in well then. If you're with those people, and there's so many other things that pop up from this too. It's true. I've recorded a couple of jingles for commercials. I've been asked to come in and do some ancillary backup vocals for people recording their albums. I have had a lot of people ask me, I have this song I've been working on. It would sound a lot better with a female vocalist. I kind of have you in mind. And so a lot of that has come up. But also I think one of the most surprising things that I discovered from all of this is the women currently in the live music circuit we're all friends. Right. We're all friends with each other. We all hang out with each other. We encourage each other. My good friend Savannah in SOS, I've been just announcing their praises for months and months and months. And they built that band from the ground up. And to see them at Red Rock and K-Back giving them a shout out, that was cool. Like, that is really, like, I really like that everybody kind of cheers each other on.
Right.
So,
you ever played any instrument?
I played piano
Okay.
most of my childhood and kind of into high school.
Does the rest of the band know this?
Yes.
Okay.
At the time when I first joined the band, Al hogged all the channels, so we didn't have room for keys.
Yeah, you set up a key or you set up a drum set, and it takes like 6 mics minimum.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we definitely got out of helping tear down the drums because don't touch Al's drums. That's how that goes.
Which set?
Huh?
Which set of Al's drums?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got several.
Just I didn't even touch the cymbals. So, I've thought about it. I've kind of brought up, maybe I want to play some keys here and there, or whatever. But I tried to learn guitar for a while, and it just doesn't click with my brain. Maybe I'll try a bass guitar down the road, but you're never too late to learn.
Yeah, I tried bass for a little bit.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it, but just wasn't playing it enough and so forth. And so finally had to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Dave, stick to talking.
It's my second favorite thing.
Yeah, talk to people about their passion. And obviously this has become a big passion for you.
Very much.
It's interesting, though, that, you really hadn't thought about it. You jump into the karaoke. Now you're in a band and so forth. What else you want to do with it?
Community theater. I blocked off December, actually. I was actually really bummed out. I couldn't audition for Young Frankenstein, but it just didn't fit into my schedule.
Yeah.
Because
now you're thinking Christmas Carol?
Yeah. So I think I auditioned for Cabaret.
Okay.
And got a callback. And couldn't go to callbacks because I realized some of the shows interfered with some of my gigs.
Some of the gigs.
Yep. And then I went to the little cabaret thing that they have down at the Washington Pavilion.
Oh, Goodnight Theater Cabaret?
Yeah. I went there. I initially went because Zach Dresch was drumming, and I thought, this will be a fun thing to check out. So
heartbeat for that man.
Oh, yeah.
Love
definitely.
him.
Definitely. And so, I've been kind of following what he's been up to and, wanting to attend some of that stuff. So on a whim, a girlfriend of mine and I went to that, and behind me, this gal goes, Valerie? And I turned around, and it was the choreographer for Cabaret. She's like, you didn't come to callbacks. We had an actual conversation about how you didn't come to callbacks. And I was like, yeah, it just didn't fit into my schedule. And she's like, well, you're gonna come back and audition for more, right? And I said, oh, yeah. So I did block off December from the band so that I can audition for A Christmas Carol. And then next April, because I want to audition for Cinderella.
Fantastic.
I know.
We're season ticket holders. Just picked them up the other day, in fact. And
I gotta do that.
We're also season ticket holders for Goodnight Theater, for Old Town, Corson. Yeah, we kind of like going to stuff.
That's good, though.
But you know what's really great about it? Robin Byrne just left, but in a couple of weeks we're going to have the new director, Oliver Mays, on to talk about, how he sees it going forward and so forth. But what I love about it is, it's growing so much in terms of the production value, the talent that we have in this town.
Yes.
Is, I'll say, unmatched. And Robin was aware of that. And he says, we're just as good as anybody in Omaha or Minneapolis.
Yep.
And so we start to see that. But yet what's cool is you can say, oh, gosh, yeah, I went down there and, my barber was in that show. And so forth. So it's still people that we do have a lot of people in this town that fortunately are able to make a living in arts and entertainment, but there's still those that they've got to have their regular job.
Yep.
But they put their heart and soul into everything else that's available.
Yep.
And that's what's so fun to see about it. And so even though we may change the name to Premier Playhouse, etc., it's still community-driven. And I think that's another part of that, whole collaboration versus competition part. And it's just the fact that it's wonderful how everything comes together. And, there's another new thing that I just participated in recently for Premier Playhouse. And, I think I can say it now that the play that I was reading for got in to be one of the finalists. And coming up, yeah, it is, very much so. Nothing official on it yet, but looking forward to it. But, it's just all the things that are coming about. In fact, this coming weekend, my wife and I are going to go to Annie Jr., which is part of the Penguin Project.
Yeah.
Where it's anybody of any ability.
Yeah.
Can be on stage, and they'll maybe have a shadow there to help them out if they, kind of need a line or something, or if they're in a wheelchair.
Yep.
Maybe need to get them over to a particular spot on the stage and so forth. But just the beautiful things that are taking place.
How fulfilling.
Yeah, and I applaud you that hey, yeah, I'm singing right now and having fun, but I want to do some other stuff.
Yeah. We went to, a girlfriend of mine and I went to Escape to Margaritaville or whatever that is, and there was a part where, and I know that other people who have been kind of in this industry or in this arena know what this feeling is, but this gal was singing a song and she's in the middle of the stage and she's got her arms out like this and she's just singing to the world, and you can tell that that's like just a highlight of hers.
Right.
You can, and I was watching her do that and my brain went, oh, I want to do that. I want that. I'm going to go do that. And you see it, and sometimes you're like, I didn't know I wanted that till I saw it. And so when I auditioned for Cabaret, that's what Oliver asked me. He's like, what brings you here today? And I'm like, Escape to Margaritaville. She just singing her heart out.
Yeah.
Just having the time of her life. And I was like, oh, I want that.
Well, I tell people my passion's talking to people about their other passions and so forth. And it's just great. I recall years ago when I was at the Callaway, and that was back in the days before the Hegg Brothers had the Holiday Jam.
Yeah.
There was Acoustic Christmas. And then one year, Acoustic Christmas decided to do an Easter show as well. And so they came in and chatted about that, and I was interviewing them, and we had to go to a commercial break, but they all had their guitars with them. I said, well, and it was Mike Connor and Boyd Bristow that were in there. I said, well, can you play us out to the break? And they just started on this acoustic guitar bit, and I'm looking at them, and I see this just glow, and it's like, that's joy.
Yep.
That's what true joy is all about.
Yep.
Is that what you get on stage?
Absolutely. I'll be, especially, there are particular songs that when I'm singing them, and my brain will go, holy crap, this is so cool what you get to do on the weekends. And I'll be up there and it will kind of hit me what I'm doing.
Right.
Especially if there's a big crowd, and especially if we've got good energy that night. And then the other part of my brain goes, you can freak out later. You need to focus. You have things to do. So definitely when I'm up there and just having a great time and singing, and my brain goes, this is so cool. This is great.
What's a song you haven't sung yet that you want to?
On stage?
Yeah.
With the band? I would love to do Barracuda by Heart.
Classic.
I don't want to disrespect Heart by not nailing it, So I would love to do more bluesy stuff, jazzy stuff up there maybe, but I don't know if I can convince the boys of that. That
might be that artistic difference part.
Yeah. It happens. Yeah. It's what it is.
But you're not afraid to bring it up.
No, No, there's a lot of compromise. They are willing to do some Whitney Houston and Tina Turner and,
Well, that's the thing is, think of how many things ended up being incredibly great that somebody might have initially been going, oh, do I even bring it up?
Yeah.
And then it ends up that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a direct person. I mean, you'll never.
You don't mess around.
You'll never wonder what I'm thinking. I have 2 teenagers. I kind of work in cubicle world. I don't have.
Well, my cubicle world is now at home, at least.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I can work at home if I need to. But,
there you go. Yeah.
I go into the office.
Enjoy that part.
Because it makes me shower.
Well, that's what lunch is for here. Shower during lunch. Maybe after the, yeah.
Yep.
Although, occasionally I do have a rule called the no shower Saturday.
Oh, I don't blame you there.
Yeah, but that only happens if we're not going out to something afterward.
Sure.
Yeah, so, like this weekend, it's going to be Crazy Frank.
Yep.
So I'll have to shower after work. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is he doing karaoke this weekend?
Yes, he is at Red Rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Saturday?
Second Saturday of the month always for him. Yeah.
I like going out and singing karaoke with Frank.
Yeah, he's a dandy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
What a great guy. Plus, I have another project for him to do.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Put him to work. Keep him busy.
Exactly. He loves that.
He does.
He and the Gooch. Mm-hmm. The Gooch overlooks, she takes
They're a
care of
great
it.
team.
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, Gooch is Ava, his young daughter.
Yep.
And it's just funny to see the whole relationship that the two of them have.
Yep.
Anywho, all right. So, what else in the entertainment world is just pulling on your strings?
I would probably have to say I've been trying to put it together, but of course it keeps falling by the wayside with everything else going on. But I've worked in geriatrics for 25 years, up until a couple of years ago. And working in a nursing home can be considered not your most glamorous nursing job in the world. But there's a difference between doing what you love and doing something you're good at. And sometimes what you're doing is both. And when I worked in the nursing home, I both loved it and I was dang good at it. I was good at it. Alzheimer's, dementia, end of life, all of it. I rocked it out of the park. I knocked it out. But I miss my old people.
Right.
So I'm wanting to get some acoustic help and maybe do special music at the assisted living and nursing homes in the area.
That's another thing we see so often around this community too, is that we're not just doing art and entertainment for the entertainment and artistic value. We're also doing it for good things.
Correct.
Yeah.
To fill people's buckets.
Yeah, it's been very good to see that. All right, so Valerie Arens, I like to end with two questions. Sometimes answer number one will fulfill number two, but let's just start off here. When you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
TikTok.
I have finally had to go on to TikTok because, we have an 11-year-old granddaughter, for one thing. But with promoting the show, too, I've got a young gentleman that says, Dave, come on, you really got to get on TikTok. And so he produced something for me. And I got like 4 hits, and I'm like, oh, come on, really? He says,
Give it time, yep.
He said, but I had, when he posted it on his own, because he's already got a following, he says, I had 4,000.
Yep.
Well, okay.
I originally joined to keep an eye on my daughter and keep up with the music and the lingo. It kind of took on a mind of its own. We did have one fun viral video that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
16 seconds of our life, and Famous Dave sent us a $100 gift certificate for it.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. We were on House of Highlights and Barstool Sports and all that different. It was interesting. I definitely don't know if I could ever be famous, because even that little 15 seconds was a bit much.
Generated a lot of
But I like TikTok because I actually learn a lot. Lots of dogs, lots of recipes, all sorts of stuff.
That's
I like
true.
it. I like it over there.
All right, final question then. Question number 2 would be, any other hobbies?
Any other hobbies? Halloween is certainly a hobby. It's taken on a life of its own at my house. And
As
my
in
dogs.
you make your own haunted house type thing? Or what?
Next year is DIY Halloween. So all of my DIYs that have been sitting there waiting to be built are happening next year. But we start August 1st with our decorating and
Oh my.
all that good stuff. My spotlights came in from Amazon last week, and I have my 12-foot skeleton.
You're ready to go.
We're going to put together, yep. So Halloween's a big hobby. My dogs probably take up most of my other free time. So,
all right, and the kids too.
yeah, I suppose. They're all right. We'll keep them.
All right. Valerie Arens, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and your willingness to be on the Dave Holly Hour.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Helping women feel empowered and confident is what Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th does, while supplying high-quality clothing that fits your lifestyle, personality, and price point. Whether you want comfy and cozy, casual attire, or something for a special occasion, Posh provides quality, selection, and value. They carry sizes extra small to 3X and have something appropriate for any age. Feel empowered and get confident. Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Towne know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Arts and entertainment lovers, you hit the mark. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, yeah. I might as well say it because you know I'm going to say it. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. We talk to the creatives, the creators. We talk to the actors, the directors, the executive directors, and sometimes we find them all in one person. Because it's always a pleasure as well to introduce a new guest to the show. And we have Casey Ring, who has just wrapped up a few years doing the executive director thing at Old Town Dinner Theater, having directed and also having acted. Welcome, Casey.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you reached out, and you were on the radar anyway, and then it's like, oh, he's leaving Old Town? What's going on here?
Yep.
So let's start there. What's going on here?
Well, I absolutely loved my time at Old Town. It gave me an opportunity to not only experience the acting, directing, artistic side of theater, which I'd been involved in for a long time, but then get into the business side. And I finally got to a point where I wanted to pursue my end game, which is my MFA.
Okay.
So, that's what I'm heading for. Yep.
Awesome. Good
MFA in directing.
And you'll be doing that at Mankato, correct?
Minnesota State Mankato. Okay. That's correct. Go Mavs.
See, I was a Mustang.
Yeah, fair enough.
Southwest Minnesota State University.
Yep.
Except I'm so damned old, it was only SSU back then.
That's okay. I came from Augustana College, so
true.
I understand
Yes.
the point. Yep, I understand the feeling. Yeah.
All right. So in directing, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, that's the great thing about, you hear a lot about master's degrees and, there's the infamous MBA, but the MFA, you can narrow that down. You got to put a pinpoint on that you're going to get it in directing.
Exactly. Yep.
What made you want that more so than like theater management or anything along that line?
Honestly, for me, and maybe it probably comes down to me being a little bit of a micromanager, and I can admit that. I can own that.
Yeah.
My actors who have worked with me will tell you that sometimes I get like right up near them. I know we did like a kissing scene at one point with two new actors, and they were like, "Yeah, Casey was like 10 inches away from us the first time to be like, okay, now and then this way and then that way." No, I like to direct because I like to have a full view of all of it. I like to be the person who has the big picture, and that's kind of what I want to go to school for, is to do that better, to see that big picture and to be able to present a full vision to everyone.
Yeah,
So.
because I think that's the more that we attend theater locally, is we're finding that out. That, besides the traditional Oklahomas as musicals and so forth, that we're finding interesting plays. We're finding musicals that are being done in a different way, and that every director is putting their mark on it. And I'll take a cabaret recently at the Premier Playhouse. I saw that 25 or however many years ago was that Sect had put it on. And when I left the Sect production, I was like, oh yeah, it's a great musical, and life is a cabaret, and singing and all that sort of stuff. I go to this, and I come out and I go, wow, that is such an incredible story. How did I not get that the first time?
Yep.
And so it does come down to how the director interprets that script.
Absolutely.
And then where they want to go with it. Give us an example of one that you said, okay, here's the typical type stuff, but here's the Casey Ring approach.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. my path through directing started out with actually Corson art players, the Mighty Corson art players. Brian Shipper, who I can't say enough great things about, was my mentor, and he started giving me basically what was in my wheelhouse to direct, which at that time I had come out of improv, actually.
Okay.
And so I actually started out there with Complete History of America Abridged.
Right.
And so that play itself is all these series of vignettes. It's people playing themselves but telling the story of America in these lazzis. Really, it goes back to this Italian, background of commedia, and so I tried to view it in that way, and finding these bits of physical humor that we could just throw in and do big. And at the time, like my girlfriend was one of the cast members, and I hit her in the face with a pie every single night. I don't know how she felt about that, but she went with it. And so I don't know. I would say that was one way that I addressed that kind of show, which on the surface is very much just a silly farce, or not even a farce, but a silly,
just quirky,
quirky look at American history. And I tried to look at it from the view of, okay, but it has its roots here. This is where we're pulling from. How do we get back to that? How do we, pay homage to that? And so that's what I tried to do with that one. Fast forward years later, we got to a season, and I had finally gotten to a point at Old Town where I had done executive for a while, and I was willing to go into actually directing. And I remember talking to some of the board members and saying, like, I'd like to do one show. I'd like to direct a show this year. And everyone was like, oh, Boeing, because I had just been in Boeing out of Corson. I had acted in Boeing.
Right.
And so they were like, oh, you want to do Boeing? And I said, no, I want to dial M for Murder. Because I wanted to do something completely new. I wanted to do something that was really going to challenge me. And again, from that side, I kind of flipped it on the other end, where I looked at it from the side of, okay, this is a very serious show. This is a very, intense show. There's no way to get away from that, and we shouldn't try to. But how do we find the funny? How do we find those moments of levity and the moments to give the audience a breath while still maintaining that? And so that's what I looked at that from that side.
Yeah, and you talk about Corson, you talk about Old Town. Give us an idea on what types of things each represents in terms of a theater.
Sure, and they are completely different, and trying to compare them is like apples and oranges.
Oh, true. Yeah, I'm not looking for comparison, just getting more of a, let's set the scene of each.
Corson, to me, and if Brian were here, he'd probably fight me on this and beat me up, and that's okay. The next time we have a drink together, he'll beat me up. But Corson to me has become an artist theater. It's becoming very much an actors theater. It's there for actors and directors and writers to kind of try things out, and that's awesome, because I don't know that we have much of that in the Sioux Empire area at this time, and Corson's kind of filling that niche in a really fun way. And so I really love a lot of what they've been doing and pushing. I mean, you were there. We just saw Sarah Corey out there. Yeah, which...
amazing.
Something you'd never see, I think, anywhere else in the Sioux Empire area. And they're filling that niche, and I love that for them. Whereas I think Old Town has very much and is very much that place where you're going to see fantastic quality. You're going to see or you're going to get an amazing meal, and you're going to get to relax and enjoy a night out. So very different.
It has probably more of a quote unquote business model to it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Whereas Corson's looking to produce some great things, and they do. And then Old Town, just like you explained it, that it's going to be a great meal. You're going to have a fun time. You're going to kick back and so forth, and still see a great show and a lot of farces.
Absolutely. Yep. You're going to have a night of laughter.
Exactly. Yep. You're going to get a good time out of it.
Yep.
And it's a shame if you don't, because it is a great quality production that still takes place. Now, what is it that immediately got you interested in, give us a time frame as a kid and so forth? Where'd you go, this theater thing? And then where did it become... You mentioned a little bit about flipping over toward the directing part.
Yeah. Oh man, that's going back. My first show, I think I was in a show about hygiene when I was like in third grade. My dad threatens me with the tape every once in a while because apparently I managed to work both fingers into my nose. So that's solid. That's what you want to hear. But yeah, no. So I went from there. Junior high, I ended up in a random role for just a kitschy show called Spy TV, and it was the quote unquote lead. But it was just something that I thought was fun and that I wanted to try out. And then from there on to high school, the first time I really directed wasn't until probably college, and even that was just kind of in classes and things like that, you know. And so I finally got to the point where I knew that what I wanted to do, and the reason that I'm going on with my education, and like there are plenty of people who do amazing work and don't need to get a master's or anything like that. They do amazing work without it and don't need it. But the reason that I wanted to go on was because I actually want to teach and coach, and I want to develop the next generation of those people in theater and things like that. And to do that, and to you know, you kind of have to be in the collegiate setting. And so that's why I wanted to get back
that academia part
exactly.
to it. Yeah.
And I had already done some directing and really loved it. And fortunately had some actors and performers who came to me and said, like, really loved working with you. This is why. And it turns out that, yes, while I'm very demanding.
That micromanager.
Yeah, a little bit. While I might be a little demanding, that they also felt like they got good performances out of that. And we've been able to have great talks about that. And so that made me realize that, yes, this is the path for me. The guidance, the directing, the mentoring is the path for me. So, yeah.
What made you decide on Mankato?
Mankato was on my radar for years. They have such a phenomenal program, and it's the weirdest thing because, like, when I tell people that's like I got into my top school, and they're like, where is it? And I'm like, Mankato. They're like, your top school? And I'm like, yes, no, like, really, it really is. And the reason is that they've had a phenomenal program for years. The shows they put on, the way that they're able to operate is phenomenal, and to be a part of that kind of legacy and the things they've been able to create is truly a blessing and an honor for me. So
during this time, first of all, 1-year program, 2-year program,
3-year program,
3-year program.
Yeah,
for
this
the MFA.
is for the MFA. It's
Wow.
terminal degree, so it's they run you through everything.
Yeah, no
Yep.
kidding. So how much will you have a chance to direct during
I
this?
start this year.
No kidding.
Yep, my first show is at home on the zoo.
Okay.
It'll be this spring. Edward Albee's at home at the zoo.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Hey, jump right into it.
Right
You jump
in.
right into it here soon. 20th is your move-in date.
Yep, and the 23rd,
and the 23rd classes start.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
All right. We'll
yeah.
sidetrack for just a moment. Tell us the reason that you particularly got this apartment.
So yeah, the reason that we got this apartment where I only get to move in a few days earlier is because I have a St. Bernard, and we need a first floor apartment with in-suite laundry and central air to make sure that I can keep up with everything and that he stays
and
cool.
to keep a St. Bernard at
Exactly.
good temperature.
So yeah.
Awesome.
And that means we had to take whatever they'd give us. So yeah.
So 3-year program. You're going to be directing already in the spring. Mm-hmm. What other paces do they put you through then?
Oh, tons. I mean, I will be involved in everything. Like, I also will be working in the box office immediately.
Okay.
I'll be like helping to run the box office and work through that. And that'll be a lot of fun and back in my wheelhouse a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And from then, like, I mean, it's everything from movement classes to directing classes to acting classes to, I mean, they make sure that you get a full view of everything, and that you are indeed a well-rounded student. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, I'll have my focuses, and I even get to pick a couple of things that maybe, I might focus on, which I don't know. And in fact, one of them might be like
podcasting,
radio broadcasting, and things, or acting, voice acting, and things like that.
Oh,
so
exactly.
could be fun. But yeah, so it will be a full view of everything, and yeah, the entire time. I might even end up doing a little teaching. That's in the possibility to start.
True. Yeah,
So
grad assistant
teaching.
type
Yep,
situation?
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I will have my grad assistantship. So yeah.
Wow. And what are you hoping it brings for you? Then you talked earlier about you want to be an educator.
It is exactly that.
If just that.
Yep.
That's the main focus. We put a bullseye on it.
In 4 years' time, I would like to be known as Professor Ring. So that is.
I look forward to being able to call you and
Absolutely.
say, Professor Ring, would you like to be on the show?
Exactly.
Remember when?
And I will. Yes, I would love to. So yeah, that's.
Well, you
the
and
goal.
Ruthie got to be on at the same time.
We're looking forward to that. We've already been talking about it and making sure that we cover our bases on stories we can and can't tell you. 'Cause,
Exactly. Yeah,
I will let you know. I'm the one
Well-
who will tell you stories that she ends up kicking me in the shins under the table for.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you will have a winter break?
Yes. Of course.
Well, we'll maybe have to be after this. We'll get out the calendars and start looking already.
I would love it.
That'd be great. So, in terms of being a director, what do you think you bring to being a director besides your micromanagement that you already mentioned?
I need to find a better term. No, and it's funny because I always tell every one of my casts the first night that we start like a show, not the read through, but the next night when we're actually getting to blocking, I do a sit down and talk to them about my directing style. And one of the things I say is that I'm a pseudo organic director. The reason I say pseudo is because I find when people say they're an organic director, what they really mean is they're a lazy director. That they're like, yeah, you go ahead. And so
I've heard that about Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we could have another take.
Yeah. So for me, it's I have a clear vision. I have everything planned, but I try to make sure that I leave room for people to surprise me.
Okay.
So when I'm blocking, for instance, even early stages, I will let people just go. If they're doing things organic, they're doing things naturally, I won't stop them just because they're not what's on my page, so long as it's working. It's just that then when it stops working, we figure out a way to get back to where it's working. And so I feel like what I bring to directing, or what's been really instilled to me by the people who taught me, was this idea of be prepared, but be flexible. And so I try to do that. Now, and they're including Ruthie can tell you a story about this. There are times when we get to that point of, nope, this is my vision and this is what you want to do. We're going to do it my way, because that's my job as a director. And I think most directors would tell you that.
You can't be milk toast.
Exactly. Yeah. It's, you wanted to try it this way. I gave you the chance to try it and it didn't work.
All right. So you had some improv background. Yep. So how much does that come into you? I'm sure it came in a lot as an actor. But how much are you going to allow it as a director?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Because that's actually the other thing that and in fact, Brian Shipper, who is kind of my directing mentor, has given me a lot of a hard time for this. That's one of the reasons I think that I can't stay off the stage when I'm directing. Like when we're going through blocking, when we're trying things, when we're working things, I'm on stage and I'm right around them and working through it. And every once in a while, stop, like, okay, can you try it this way? And like, look, like, try
or the 10 minutes working on the kissing scene.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, for me, that is the improv part, is looking at it from the side of like, oh, but what if? Like, but what if you did it this way? So, yeah.
I would assume that actors really appreciate that.
Most of the time. I will say most of the time. Because the times when they have a very strong feeling or very strong, like, this is how I see it. And I'm like, well, that's great for your character. But it doesn't fit with everything else we've built.
Humor me and try it my way.
Yep, exactly. It's your partners, the people on stage with you, have built other characters, and putting all those together, yours stands out. We need to bring it in. We need to find that way that it does blend a little bit. So,
what's the first thing when you become professor that you're going to tell your first class?
I'm going to tell them that, to me, they are in the noblest of professions. And the reason I say that, and yes, it's completely self-aggrandizing, and I don't care, the reason is because I think artists in general are out there to simply create. To make something, usually something beautiful in some form, some way, shape, or form. And it's, I hope, not just for them. And that to me means that what I will tell my students is what you are doing is noble.
Right.
And you shouldn't shy away from it. And you shouldn't let somebody talk down to you because of it. Because I think, unfortunately, that happened to me. That's why I don't have my undergrad in theater, is because people told me, like, well,
you won't make a living at it.
Like, what are you going to do with that, you know? And then I ended up working professionally in theater. And so what I would tell them is what you're doing is noble and it's worthwhile. And people do want that, even if they want to feel smug in the meantime, you know? So that's what I would tell my students.
Do you have a place that you'd like to teach?
Nope. I am
open to anything, huh?
I am open to wherever they could use me.
Okay.
So, because I assume wherever they could use me, there will be students.
Who do you look up to as a director?
Oh.
You mentioned locally Brian Schipper as a mentor.
Yep, big mentor. John Bowe, too, out at Old Town. Like, I mean, he's one of my oldest friends and best friends.
Great guy.
Just fantastic. But, if you want to go higher up than that, like, Jana Schipper was... not Jana
Fitzsimmons.
Jana Fitzsimmons. Sorry, got tied up with different names. But yeah, Jana Fitzsimmons was also one of my professors back in the day that really sculpted me.
So you went to Southwest Minnesota State University.
Yeah, I did know that. Yes. Dave Workman as well, or Dan Workman as well. And then if you get up past that, I have directors that other people really look down on. Like, I love Kenneth Branagh, and I'm gonna hold to that.
Yeah.
Partially because Jana pushed Shakespeare into me. So
very much so.
And I never minded Kenneth Branagh in his Shakespearean roles, and people will judge me for that, and I don't care. But so I don't know. I have a lot of respect for basically anyone who can do it, because I think there's directing is one of those skills, those jobs that people don't fully understand. They see what actors do, and they assume that was all actors doing it. And so directors sometimes get pushed back to the background. And so, anybody who can hold that together, not only bring out good performances, but also, really be able to manage and work with and hold that diverse of a group of people together, respect. So.
I think what people forget, too, is the blocking. They have no idea, or I shouldn't say they have no idea, but for those that have never been in theater, been in a play or a musical, they don't understand the blocking that takes place. And, when you start, you've got your first reading, then you get on a stage, and usually there's no set yet, and you just start moving around a little bit, and maybe you're not even rehearsing in the place that you're going to be performing at. And so then finally when you get to go do the dress rehearsals and the tech and so forth, and it's all new again, but at least you're off book.
Yep.
But I think that is the forgotten part of the director's job.
It's hard for the directors, and it's so hard on the actors. I always call it to my actors when we talk about it, eat your vegetables rehearsals, because that's what it is. Those are not the fun ones. And granted, I've tried to make that easier, and I've had some actors who've been like, that was okay. That's the best I've gotten to, is basically that was okay, because again, I try to make it fun and things, but that's blocking is tough. And the worst part from a directing standpoint is that a good, I'd say 30% of the time, at least where I'm at in my 30 to 40% of the time, at least where I'm at in my experience, it's wrong. I look at it once it's on stage, once I actually have people doing it, and go, nope, not at all. And we have to rework it.
Right. So then the rehearsals change. And
yep. Yeah. And I'm sure the worst part of it from an actor's standpoint is that a good 30 to 40% of it
doing that
is wrong. And they have to rework everything that I just told them to do. So, no, that's tough. It is tough, because as much as you can work with like models, for me personally, I draw football diagrams is basically how I do my blocking before. My pre-blocking is all football diagrams where I draw this person goes here on this line, this person and I have the X's and O's. Yep, just written out in my notepad next to my script, and I just go over that, and then all of a sudden the one that I will say for sure, Dial M for Murder, one of my leads, Towne, was 6'5".
Yeah.
And I did not plan for that in pre-blocking, and then all of a sudden we got into it. It was like, oh yeah, no, you can't
we got to
see her,
consider a few things.
You can't see this, yeah. So,
what's the craziest thing you've ever done as a director?
Craziest thing, directing, I tend to stay pretty tame. Like I said, I think the craziest thing would probably be hitting my girlfriend with the pie every night. Yeah, past that, everything. I will say, this isn't crazy necessarily, but I will say it was one of the moments where I'm I feel good about that. It's the pat yourself on the back. Mm-hmm. I did another kind of improvisational style show called Every Christmas Story Ever Told. And the way I kind of set the set was to have various different evocations of Christmas. So there was in the background, you had these kind of Verlin Ives, pictures and paintings.
Right.
On the one side, you had this very classic and old-timey fireplace and chair set next to it and Christmas decorations. And yeah, so all around it was just different things. And I tried to kind of meld them. But the thing that I was proud of was I needed, kind of like a farce, for actors to be able to come and go very quickly from various spots. And so one of the entrances I made was actually out of the fireplace, where actors and actresses could actually climb out from the fireplace and keep going. So
all right.
Yeah.
So we've come to our end for the most part here.
Fair enough.
But we could talk for hours, obviously.
Seriously. I was going to say, I feel like we just got started, but all right.
Before we get to the typical last two questions that I like to ask, we, of course, do have a little bit of a tie because it is family related. You and I are not family, but is it your sister?
Yeah.
That was my mother's physical therapist or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so then my mother would keep telling me this. Well, he's at Old Town. I don't know what he does down there. And then, of course, she got the name wrong, and then she was oh, God.
Yep.
She's got to be talking about Casey.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm sure your sister can probably tell some stories on my mother.
I won't ask unless you want me to.
I do.
Okay. We have a family vacation coming up here in a few days. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Then we come to the questions of, okay, when you're not in the entertainment and arts scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oof. So I mean, I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, you and Chipper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He was actually my first DM, and now I DM for a few games. And so I do that a lot. And then past that, I like to read. I like to write. I'm actually working on, and by working on, I mean I come back to it and write a few lines and then stop. I'm actually writing a show right now.
Awesome.
It's a dark comedy ghost story. So,
oh, fun.
Yeah. It's very much about a
modern setting or
modern setting.
Okay.
It's basically a guy out walking his dog, sees this woman in a very I want to say like Civil War era dress standing in the window, and instead of running, instead of being freaked out, waves. And so what I've written so far is one of the things I've written so far is her opening monologue, where she is describing her view as a ghost and talking about her past and everything that's happened, and then sees the guy, just a random dude, waving at her. And the end of that monologue is he waving at me? So their relationship.
Well, we look forward to any working title yet?
No.
Okay.
I think what I've written at the top as a working title is The Woman in the Window. Okay. So, yep.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll look forward to catching up with you and Ruthie at maybe Christmas time. And as well, all the way down through the career until we get to say we're now speaking with Professor Ring. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other hobbies?
Past that, D&D, writing, reading, I guess... No, that's that and theater. That takes up my life.
Takes the time, yeah.
That takes all of it.
Well, and but it's also a great thing when we. I love to ask those questions at the end, and a great majority of our artists, whether actor, director, musician, singer, songwriter, that's pretty much it. Even the ones that are making a full-time living at it are still doing that the rest of the time.
I was going to say,
or taking it in and appreciating it. And
at the end of the day, we're artists.
Exactly.
And we want to create art.
Yep. And we're so thankful you do.
Thank you.
All right. Casey Ring, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to the next time we speak.
Absolutely, Dave.
All right. We'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Towne provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guests, Valerie Arens and Casey Ring. To the man who put the R in our wine bar and kitchen, Ricardo Teravelsi, where we recorded our conversation with Casey Ring. The Valerie Arens chat was recorded here in the Dipsy Doodle Productions studio. And I certainly cannot forget every single one of you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, now over 10,000 downloads. We have over 500 Instagram followers, more than 600 Facebook followers. It makes the Rugged One happy. By the way, speaking of, the ruggedly handsome trivia host will be at the Sky in T Friday night, Seinfeld and Friends trivia, starting at 7. Then a return for weekly Tuesday trivia at Chasers starting next Tuesday. Saturday night, as in this Saturday night now, a couple days from now, we're headed to the Orpheum to catch Annie Jr. Very much looking forward to this. It's part of the Penguin Project, brought to you by the Premier Playhouse, where actors and performers of all abilities can be on stage. By the way, then, after we've been to that, we'll head down to the Red Rock at Rowena for Crazy Frank Karaoke. So watch out, Valerie. If you haven't so far, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Get all 142 episodes online at DaveHollyHour.com. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by Posh Boutique, The Sky in Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to DaveHollyHour.com and look for a coffee cup icon in the lower left. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the Dave Holly Hour on Facebook, and you'll be automatically entered in our Pizza with a Podcaster contest. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.